Thanks to YouTube user Blitz Rules 240 for suggesting doing a 10-team full PPR snake draft. I guess that's where he is drafting from in his main league. So happy to oblige. Thanks for the request, man. Okay, so here it is. 10 teams, drafting 10th on the turn, and full PPR. And I just put in what I'm guessing you've got there. Close enough. So let's start the draft. So I thought we'd look at a couple different ways to do it because for me, I will always say zero RB is never the answer. And I believe that for sure. But the one time you can slightly vary from that and not do zero RB, but I don't even like to take anyone but running backs in the first 2 rounds in regular non-PPR or half PPR. Now, if you're in full PPR, you can potentially take, say, one of the top receivers in the first round for 2 reasons. Number one, if they are a really high reception total, like a Michael Thomas or something, then they're that much better than the field in an additional way when they're already way better than everyone else. But also because you now have all these satellite backs, these literally running backs like your James Whites and your Tariq Cohens, who can then become viable starters for you. You can also get more depth guys like Jameson Crowder and Golden Tate and guys like that. So you can do it. Now, I don't ever do that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do 2 drafts here. So for the first one, we're going to try getting an elite wide receiver and just see if it's viable, because I'm telling you it's not at all in half PPR or full PPR. But in half PPR or non-PPR. But in full PPR, let's give it a shot. Now, I would never recommend taking wide receiver. But actually, you know what? Let's do that. Let's just see what it looks like, because normally I would be drafting Miles Sanders here and then hoping to get like Drake or Chubb on the way back. But you know what? Let's try it. We can try that next time. Let's try going receiver. So if I had to do that here, you consider actually it's the tight ends too. Let's do that. Let's do a zero RB strategy. Screw it. I just want to see, because if you had to do it, you would do it in full PPR. Let's try it. Okay, so let's go with Tyreek is too hot and cold for me. Julio is a lot more consistent. He just has that like 100 yards every game. So let's go with Julio. And then, I mean, Tyreek would be great. Or let's take Kittle. I think Kittle's better than Kelsey, even in single-year leagues. He's younger for dynasty and keepers, but I just think he's going to be the best tight end this year for sure. Okay, and then we'll still have an elite quarterback. And again, I always say you can get your quarterbacks at the end, but let's do a true zero RB here. Let's take Dak and Russell Wilson, both excellent choices there. So now what have we got here? So for our roster, okay, now this is looking great. I mean, who doesn't want Julio, Kittle, and Dak on their team? That's wonderful. And we'll go to the draft board here. Okay, now at this point, I think you have to get into your running backs, I think. I don't think even a zero RB person would go more than, go past the 4th round without getting at least one running back. Yeah, now you're past the elite stuff here, right? So, okay. So now what have we got? Okay, and you see the problem right away. Not only are none of these guys looking great for 2020, in my opinion, but you're really relying on the pass-catching work. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, top-ranked guy of this list, yeah, he could be amazing like that. I keep saying he could be Christian McCaffrey or Darren Sproles, and we don't know, right? Like, which one is he? You tell me. He could be Chris Thompson. We don't know. So it's unbelievably risky, even though we know he's going to get lots of pass-catching work. We know running backs are just great in an Andy Reid offense. To be your number one guy, it might work, but he still has to pass Damian Williams on the depth chart, who, by the way, should have been the Super Bowl MVP. So it's really, really dangerous. But okay, I like him better than all these other guys here. Jonathan Taylor, even if he gets to start, doesn't get that receiving work like Clyde will. So, okay, let's go with Clyde. Man, this just feels nasty to me, because you can get a good tight end and a good quarterback at the very end of the draft. Wide receivers, there's a million of them. It just, ugh, whoever came up with zero IB is a psychopath, honestly. Okay, so what does everything look like here? I'm totally unfamiliar with this. These are all great receivers. This whole tier right here is just beautiful. Those three guys, I love them. What are we at for running backs? Ugh. Okay, well, I guess if I was actually in this position, which I never would be, I would take Singletary because he's great and he can catch the ball. There's so many issues with all of these guys here. Let's say the issues. So Gordon has Philip Lindsay there, who might be even better than he is, even though Gordon's good. James Conner, injuries, three guys gunning for his job. The team doesn't sound like they're super high on him. David Johnson has lost all of his burst, and he's playing behind a crappy O-line for the worst coach in the league. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, Nyheim Hines is going to get the passes. Marlon Mack is still going to get a lot of work, I think. So, in full PPR, I think he takes a hit. I don't think he'll get the pass catching work, even if he does get some snaps. Ingram could start well, but he's got three guys. They said they're going to have a four-way split in the running back by committee there. John Harbaugh wants to get work for J.K. Dobbins, of course, but also Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. David Montgomery, I really believed in him last year, and he let me down. I'd much rather have Tariq Cohen. Raheem Mostert looked like a beast even in the playoffs, but a Kyle Shanahan offense is just not going to give him the rock all the time. Tevin Coleman's going to get more touches than him some games. Shanahan's going to ride the hot hand. Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to get red zone opportunities a lot. This Mostert thing is no. I saw the over-under in Vegas at some sports book had him at 1,700 yards. Like, are you on fucking glue? Like, get serious there. Then we get into Kareem Hunt, who I actually like, both as a handcuff and as a guy to get some points in full PPR. But, man, you're in a spot where you can't even take these guys here. Wide receiver is just so strong. DJ Chark is not only great, but in garbage time, take DJ Chark, I'm telling you. I know he started out great, and then the second half of the season wasn't as good. But if you saw the stats that Bortles and Allen Robinson racked up, and Allen Hurns in garbage time a few years ago, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. I love the idea of buying low on Debo because he's hurt. So that's a nice thing to do there. Okay, yeah, see, if I was actually in this spot, yeah, I would take Kareem Hunt and Cam Akers. I'm just not passing up on those guys. We literally don't have to draft another quarterback or tight end. We've got two great wide receivers. You got one or two more decent guys and you're fine. So you can just focus on running backs here. So now I assume anyone who goes 0 RB just doesn't value the position enough. So they maybe wouldn't do it as hard as I am. But I mean, I'm taking James White, the prototypical pass catching back, even though he's not got Brady there anymore, but he's going to have the immobile Jarrett Stidham or the immobile Brian Hoyer throwing him the ball and wanting to dump it off to him all day long. So you got to go there. Wide receiver. John Brown could actually be sneaky there. I'm not sure that Diggs is going to... I mean, he's good, but I don't know. Something seems funny there with Allen and Diggs. I don't know what it is. Man. Not a lot of excitement here. The drafting this way is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Man. This is so strange trying to draft like this. This is just not the way to do it. Like, so we did all this, so what? We could get Kittle, great. Dak's really good, but I mean, you can get a really decent quarterback who is not going to have that many fewer points per game than Dak, like at the end of the draft. So is it worth 10 rounds of draft capital for like 2 points a game? Not really. Julio's great, but he's getting older. He could regress. Chark you can get down here anyway. Like it seems so pointless. Running backs, running backs, running backs. Now, I know, look, like that's why they've come up with all these different types of leagues. I was playing for over a decade fantasy football with just standard, which was non-PPR. Then they came out with PPR to try and make wide receivers more important. Then they came out with super flex to try to make quarterbacks more important. Then they came out with tight end premium to make tight ends more important. All because clearly running backs are more important. So, and because there's so many satellite receiving scat backs now, that just ends up being a boon to a bunch of running backs, not just wide receivers. So, like this is such a strange place to draft on. I guess we got 5 running backs now, so that's not bad. But I mean, look at the question marks here. CEH, Damian Williams will start for at least some of the games. Singletary, people are worried about Zach Moss. Kareem Hunt is a backup. Cam Akers is a starter but a rookie. James White is getting a whole new quarterback. So, I mean, I like these 5 guys, these 5 running backs, but I mean, do you want to go to the wire? Are they going to win you a league? Like Akers could maybe, but and CEH at the end of the year maybe, but you have to get to the playoffs first. So this is just a nightmare. You know, I'm almost tempted to take a backup quarterback. Like, there's still good tight ends left. I don't know. This is just silliness, isn't it? What do? Overdraft Jerry Jeudy? Okay. Too many injury concerns. Too many question marks. Probably the backup to Jordan Howard, even though he's ranked ahead of him here. Matt Breida should be the starter, but they'll probably use Howard as the plotter and Breida as the fast back. So you could draft Williams, or you know what? Screw it. Draft Breida just in case. I don't care for Jordan Howard, but what a nasty way to draft. 0 RB. What kind of hellish nightmare is this? Okay, well, I for sure want Damian Williams. And there we go. Golden Tate. Golden Tate and Jamison Crowder are my 2 favorite full PPR guys to take. So who did we miss out on in this draft that I would have liked to have gotten? Tariq Cohen for sure. And Jamison Crowder. Wow, in the 9th round, way back there. Oh, I thought I was going to get him here, and I got sniped. Okay. And Madison I love too, so we're missing out on him. Mecole Hardman is the ultimate best ball draft. So if you're doing a best ball draft where you just draft and that's it, I always want him in that because the computer starts the best guys every week on who would have been the best guy. All right, so now Zach Moss is the handcuff for Singletary, but he's just a plotter. I don't really care about him. Okay, so if we go wide receivers, so Brashad Perryman could be the #1 receiver for the Jets. So to get him in the 13th or 14th round is pretty valuable. And other than that, what else do we need? That's it. We have one more and then kicker defense. You know who I like? If you need a late round pick in a full PPR league, I like Hunter Renfrow, the slot receiver for the Raiders, or Paris Campbell, the slot receiver for the Colts. Both of those are great. Both of those have quarterbacks who are going to want to dump it off a lot into the slot. And I love those 2 picks. So I've been taking Campbell a lot. Let's go Renfrow there. He really finished the season strong last year. Okay, and then kicker defense, I've been pretty consistent here. It shouldn't be too hard for you to get Zane Gonzalez unless you have a real Cardinals truther who just wants to have, you know, Kyler and Drake and Hopkins and just the whole Cardinals team, which is, of course, a terrible strategy in fantasy. So let's go here. I always go kicker then defense because kickers I want to keep for the whole year if I can and not worry about them, and defenses I stream. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'd take Lutz there, but he won't be there. Someone will take him in the 10th or something stupid. All right, and then for a defense, whatever though. I like the Colts and the Chargers a lot this year, but let's just throw the Vikings in there. Doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, the algorithm is weird. When I think I have a good draft, they give me crap, and when I have a bad one, they give me an A+. So, okay, so that was trying out 0 RB. I assume 3 rounds counts as 0 RB. I've tried to research and I don't know, but all right. So let's do it properly now. Let's see what it should actually look like. All right, let's go back here. Oh yeah, they changed their site. That's right. Okay, same thing. 10th out of 10. All right. Get out of here. And this time Mixon's available, who he wasn't before. So here I would like Mixon and Sanders for sure, without even worrying about it. So just for the record, if you had Michael Thomas here, and he's not fallen to 10, but if he did, he's the one guy I'd consider besides a running back in the first round. But again, only in full PPR, and only if you really scout out the strategy and really make sure you're going to get guys that you're going to like there. But and then the second round, of course, if you want any of the two top tight ends or any of the top two quarterbacks, you'd have to take them as one of these two picks right here because you're not going to get them later. In fact, what's going to be interesting after this, so let's go Mixon and Sanders. For anyone watching this video, including Blitz Rules 240, I have found that the toughest decision to make this year in fantasy is at the, if you're picking 8th or 9th or 10th, your 3rd and 4th round picks. It's so hard. Now, here we somehow have George Kittle, which I have not seen fall this far usually. I think if you're at a draft with your buddies and you're drafting with human players, all the top guys at each position will be gone. Like, I don't think a Kittle is going to get here. But he could. I was at a live draft last year and Mahomes fell to like way down here and I was very shocked. I thought he'd get overdrafted so severely, but he didn't. So I guess you never know. Okay, so we're clearly taking Kittle here. If Kittle's on the board, I mean, it's an automatic. But let's just pretend for a second that he wasn't, because I don't expect him to be off the board. Who are we looking at here? Gurley has too many injury concerns. And they throw the ball more than anyone, so you're just hoping for a bunch of goal line touchdowns, and you have to have just perfect game script for that. Chris Carson, okay. Chris Carson, I want to believe in, but I've had multiple doctors talk to me on Twitter and say that he is a serious risk. I know Dr. Jesse Morse said that he is, stress hip fractures are very serious, and he's got the fumbling problems. I know they're a rushing offense, and they want to hand the ball to him and give him lots of work, and he'll probably have some good games. But the fumble risk and the injury risk are both massive with this guy. And then, of course, you have a temperamental weirdo like Pete Carroll coaching. So as soon as he screws up, he throws a hissy fit and benches him. So Carson is not a good play. Le'Veon Bell, Gase doesn't even like him because Gase doesn't like good players. So, and then we went over a lot of these other guys here. So this is why, again, you get the running backs early. We're sitting here with Mixon and Sanders. I mean, how beautiful is that? Those guys are going to be great this year. Okay. Now, assuming that the top two quarterbacks are off the board, I normally wouldn't take a quarterback here. And for tight ends, you have to decide, because again, Kittle's probably not there, but you have to decide if you want to take Mark Andrews, and he's the clear number 3 tight end. So I think if I was in this position, we'll take Kittle. If Kittle wasn't there, I would take Mark Andrews as one of the two choices because he's Lamar's favorite target, and Lamar, if anything, wants to throw more and not rely on rushing for 1,300 yards every year. So we take Kittle. If he wasn't there, we would take Mark Andrews. And now, and you see why if you're picking, 8th, 9th, 10th, the 3rd and 4th round decision is so tough. At least picking 10th, you're on the turn, you get the double pick. You have to go receiver here. It looks like. And who do you take? This entire tier 3 on FantasyPros is just all question marks. Now, I would consider skipping all these guys and taking Robert Woods. Because Cooper Kupp, the last half of the year when they went to the 2 tight end sets, Robert Woods and Tyler Higbee got all the work, and Cooper Kupp was moved outside where he's not very good. He's much better in the slot, and he's going to be severely overdrafted because he was a top 5 wide receiver last year. So I like Cooper Kupp, but you're just not going to get him at a reasonable ADP, and Robert Woods should be taken ahead of him and ranked higher. Thielen you can consider, but he's 31 now, I think, and that's, I don't know. He's probably still fine for this year. You like Thielen? I've liked him. I've drafted him a lot last year. I don't know. I just have a bad feeling this year, so I'm not that high on him. Amari Cooper, I think he sucks. He'll show up twice a year, and now he's got CeeDee Lamb plus Michael Gallup there. Zeke gets a lot to work. I don't like Cooper at all. Odell Beckham, It's Cleveland, and it's Beckham. There's just too many question marks there for me to trust taking him in the 4th. So it comes down to then either taking Robert Woods or Juju. Man, Juju was good. And then last year, yeah, he had terrible quarterbacking. So now with Ben back, and Juju's still so young. Juju's what, 23 now? Like, he's still young. He was one of those guys that was drafted really, really young. Feels like he's been in the league forever, and he's very, very young still. So the decision here to me is Juju or Robert Woods. Whichever one you're more comfortable with, go for it. But we'll say Juju here. But yeah, this is the toughest part of the draft this year. Picking late, the 3rd and 4th round pick. Super, super hard. Super hard. So that's what you want to be prepared for. Do a lot of simulations here. FantasyPros is probably the fastest place to do that. Okay, now at this point, I'll glance at the running backs. No, not yet. So I like to get my wide receivers out of the way. I usually take 3 or 4 in a row and then they're done. So pretty clear here. Keenan Allen's old and going to a new quarterback. Lockett, really up and down. T.Y.'s old. Pretty clear Devontae Parker and DJ Chark. That's pretty easy right there. Now 7th and 8th, very interesting. So this is where I like to see if Higbee is still available, and he's not. Okay, no problem. We'll be taking tight end at the end then. So for tight ends, I'm either looking at Kittle or Kelsey in round 3, or Higbee in round 7 or 8, or Austin Hooper or Hayden Hurst at the end. That's my tight end strategy this year. Okay. Oh yeah, I think I see who I'm taking there. Wide receivers I'm good with, and I don't care for any of those guys that much. Quarterback, Josh Allen, if people really want him, I get it. But I like here Kareem Hunt, who even as a backup is so good in PPR, especially full PPR, and also the best handcuff in fantasy, period. If Chubb gets hurt, Hunt is obviously an instant starter for you, could win you a league. And Cam Akers, who I think is the clear number 1 back in LA. I don't care what people say about their O-line. First of all, their O-line's not as bad as people say. Secondly, it's a Sean McVay offense. And thirdly, they're going to want to make him the new Todd Gurley, because ever since McVay got there, they had that, and they were able to kind of build around him. So I think they want that back. Okay, and again, just glance at wide receiver. Don't care too much. No, okay. So running backs, James White, the ultimate pass-catching back, and Tariq Cohen, the other ultimate pass-catching back. Like, if you look at Tariq Cohen's numbers, or even James White's, non-PPR, half PPR, they don't look that great unless they have the odd big performance. Full PPR, it's beautiful. You get lots of double-digit weeks in there, and it's really, really nice. It's a real luxury. And look, now suddenly we have 6 running backs in full PPR. I could start all 6 of these guys. Like every one of these guys is a legit starter in full PPR. Plus you got your 3 wide receivers. You got the best tight end in the game. This is a great looking draft, honestly. Okay, glance at the wide receivers. Like, obviously, if you still had Golden Tate or Jamison Crowder, obviously you'd want to take them there, but they're probably going to be gone. All right. So we're basically looking for running backs here. So you could go for J.K. Dobbins, because the upside obviously is tremendous. Philip Lindsay, I think that could be a 50-50 split, to be honest, back there. And Gordon hasn't played too much lately, so I think Lindsay's a great pick there. Incidentally, Philip Lindsay is my greatest pick of all time. 2 years ago in a 20-team league, I took him 296th overall. And that is my favorite draft pick I've ever made in 15 years of fantasy. 16 years, including this year. Okay, but you know what? 11th and 12th round. You know who I really like here, even more than Dobbins. I like Latavius Murray. Let me just double check who we have here. Sanders. Boston Scott's still a ways down. Yeah, you know what? I like Latavius Murray and Alexander Madison. Oh, that is nice. Latavius was the top guy in fantasy, I think. He was over 30 fantasy points. Each of the 2 weeks he started in favor of Kamara last year, and Madison could start day one and is a great backup anyway. Dalvin Cook's holdout threats only make that even better. Oh no, this is disappointing. We had a real tight end run right before we drafted. I was hoping to get Hayden Hurst here. He's a great late pick, and Austin Hooper's gone too. So that'll be a nice challenge for us. Okay, so number one, I really like Boston Scott, and especially since we have Sanders. Now we need a quarterback, kicker, defense there. Are we good with 3 wide receivers? Consider Perryman or Campbell. But if we go running back, Boston Scott, Justin Jackson you could draft. Wide receivers grow on trees. Honestly, I'd rather have the running backs. I'd rather just go full out. Yeah, I want Boston Scott. And then we can take our quarterback. Who's left? Who's I concerned about there? Yeah, all right. Like, look, there's Tannehill, Goff, Burrow. So many good choices. Any of them are fine, really. Go with Tannehill. I think he was the 7th best quarterback last year in the second half of the year. I think that's what it was, right? So we got, yeah, how many running backs do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you have a team that has an 8 running back limit or something, then yeah, take a receiver in one of those. But I mean, this is just an embarrassment of riches. I don't really care about only having 3 wide receivers. I mean, those guys are awesome, and you can pick up a wide receiver blindfolded, no problem. All right, and obviously Tucker's not going to be there, but if he is, you take him. And defense, whoever, yeah, Chargers I really like. Facing Burrow in week 1 as he's getting used to the NFL. Best secondary in the league. Beautiful. So, all right. So that was 2 different drafts. One as 0 RB and one as an actual good strategy. And you can see what we were able to do there. You are going to have so many trade offers with this as people underdraft running backs and start getting desperate and need guys to fill in and realize you can't get starting running backs on the waiver wire too easily. And you can really fleece some people in trades. So it comes in handy there, or some of these guys are just going to hit, or just even as backups, be guys you can start on a weekly basis. Even if Chubb's healthy, you can start Kareem Hunt in full PPR, no problem. Like, it's not a problem at all. But I think this is the best strategy for single quarterback redraft leagues for sure. So Blitz Rules 240, hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, drop them down below for sure. And we will see you next time. Take care.